Here, thanks for clicking on this. Time for some midnight San Andreas. Oh, there it goes. Up in the corner. Strong control. So it's what? It's in the midnight hour at least, right? 12:09 p.m. a.m. even, rather.
Do you get the sense that most people are now trying to leave?
Like thousands of people are trying to leave, but most of the Gaza people here are staying. Still, the streets are full of people who have nothing to go there in the south, and they
I don't know how long this will be. I'm usually not up this around this time.
Like the southern and middle area also is not safe as the Israeli military all the time targeting this area, in spite that they call it a safe area. So it's hard for them to leave their houses, even their tents, and moving to unknown destination. And they don't want actually to repeat the displacement experience again. So it's hard for them to leave Gaza City to unknown destination.
So what am I gonna do in this game right now? I'm gonna go to San Fierro and do the courier mission. And I'm also gonna check. I got all the photos, but I forgot to go get the rewards. You know, the stuff they leave for you, which you can collect repeatedly, of course. Let's see. Let's roll out of here. Where am I? Angel Pine. After that, if I complete it, which I think I will do attempt the Mount Chiliad challenges. So I need a vehicle, preferably. Which straight up north here.
Emotionally to think about this again. After we can say we settle down here, either in things or inside things, but at least we feel some of comfortability in Gaza, as we are residents of Gaza, but living another time.
This might be a very quiet playthrough video thing.
I can only imagine it's so much harder with an ongoing military offensive.
Whoops.
How do you get food every day?
Well, the same food that.
Oh, messing up my vehicle.
The canned food. This is still that we have.
Almost. All right.
For some trucks and nutrient aid to come to Gaza.
A dirt bike.
Only eat the canned food of beans, of rice, of lentils, of some bread. Still, we have.
Is that a challenge? No, it's not right. Let's go with the dirt bike. Yeah, why not? Into the tunnel, I believe, right? Yep.
In front of my eyes, around my eyes all the time, I cannot see any fighter who can carry a weapon or a gun and can go boldly and safely through Gaza Street.
Ooh, I stayed on.
Troops, they know, like, if they
foggy out here. Yeah, I'll take that bike instead, if it ever stops.
As we are living in the west of Gaza. But sometimes there are some news and reports about some Hamas fighters. They fired some explosive toward devices toward Israeli tanks or bulldozers. But this is like inside.
Whoa! No any damage. I don't think I got hurt in that. Hey, I oughta. All right, someone's gonna pay.
How are you and others able to keep your morale up?
You.
Possible at all?
It's very difficult.
Ah, whatever.
Stop it now. We are.
You win that round.
Somehow we can see we lost hope in everything. But what keeps us here surviving is something that we don't know actually to express
Oop.
our life. It's difficult to explain what's the feeling.
Here we are,
At
good
least
old,
as journalists,
what, San Fierro.
we will still
Hey,
remember
how do I get
what's
out
in
of?
it. So this is what keeps us all the time working and surviving in these difficult circumstances.
Journalist in Gaza City there. We've had a response in from James Rimajok, one of our listeners in County in South Sudan, wondering how all of this will ever.
Let's nitro blast this crap, right? Hop in. Turn that up a little so I can hear it. Alright, where am I going exactly? First, I'm going to check over here, right? Get some weapons. I can't save there yet, but I believe my weapons will be there.
The roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it."
Where is it?
After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're
What?
joking, right? Robinson, I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still."
Well, Tyler Robinson has had his first day in court, though not in person. For more details, I spoke to Mackenzie Romero, who's the editor of
Where is
National
it?
News Dispatch.
That garage back
So Tyler
here.
Robinson's initial court appearance was very brief, as is common for these hearings. The main goal that
Nothing
was
yet.
accomplished in this hearing
Where is it?
was finding that he was indigent, which means he can't afford his own attorney to represent him.
Oh, there it
So the
is.
process will now begin.
What do we got here?
appoint an attorney
Ooh,
for
sniper
him, and
rifle
then also a reading of
and
the different
grenades.
charges
That's.
that have been filed against him by prosecutors.
Oh, I think I need to. Why don't I get the
Yes,
this
it's
shotgun?
common in
So I need to build the skill up, right? Might as well do all of them. Get off my cab. That's cool. Oh, I can save cars, even though I can't
In
save.
some ways, we learned
Nice.
more about what the prosecution is alleging from a press conference that the Attorney General gave. So what do we know about any potential motivations as to why Tyler Robinson
All right.
wanted to
Time to
charge
find the
himself?
hippie shopper.
So the Utah County Attorney, in presenting these charges, was very careful to limit his remarks to the facts surrounding the case and not necessarily speaking to the specific motives. Those will come out, I think, in the prosecution, but a lot of conclusions can be drawn based on
To the map.
what was said specifically.
Hello there, viewer. What are you doing up so late?
That's eligible for the death penalty, and part of the reason that this case
Hippie shopper.
that more severe charge.
It's I forgot already.
Tyler Robinson targeted Charlie Kirk specifically for his political expression.
Now, Tyler Robinson
I think it's around here somewhere. I'll find it. Time to watch. Oh, you left. Never mind. Time to watch. If someone's watching in the future, time to watch me find this place.
Yes,
Is that it right there? No.
These charges list this full text exchange that they said happened between Tyler Robinson and his roommate following the shooting. And when the roommate asked him after he
I think it's more southern.
revealed that he was the shooter, when he asked why.
Oh, that's not even the dot. It's a.
behalf of his
unbuyable
people. Some case can't
property.
be negotiated out, but didn't elaborate further on that.
We believe the prosecution will be seeking the death penalty. I wonder what you can tell us about any public conversation around that.
In the days leading up to Tyler Robinson's arrest,
Hippie
he
shopper, where are you?
in his media appearances that
Oh,
his estate still has the death penalty and that he expected that a death penalty would be sought in this case.
oh, is it
That
down the hill?
ultimately rested with the prosecutor in the area where the crime occurred, and the prosecutor did announce
Not
today
quite. Is
that,
it?
yes,
I feel like I'm near, though. Let's
filed
eat
their
while I'm
intent to seek a death penalty in this case. So
able to, or
we kind of saw
whatever.
this coming for a couple of days.
Based on, the
Yum,
area
yum.
you cover, the work that you do,
Give me more.
how has the last few days been? What's the mood like? What's the atmosphere like? How has it been affecting people?
Ring, 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 ring.
I have never seen
What are these spots?
news like this.
Suburban. Have I been to these places yet?
All consuming. It's what's been on everyone's
I'm sure,
mind.
right?
The topic
Should
of
I change my
conversation
clothes
around
up?
tables and on social
I don't
media,
care about green
and
right now,
it's
right?
really just been the only the only thing that's been in
Drone,
the
drone,
news
drone.
in our area ever since it happened.
That was Mackenzie Romero speaking to me earlier from Utah News Dispatch.
Time for some slow clothes shopping. Clothing.
President Trump has begun an unprecedented second state visit to Britain. Thousands of Palestinians are continuing to stream out of Gaza City.
T-shirts, boring.
Organizations working there call for urgent intervention. And the head of the Unification
Windbreakers.
Church in South Korea has been questioned by prosecutors over bribery
A
allegations.
black one.
All right, let's say hello to Isaac Fanning now and get your day thoughts.
Yeah, we're going to start with athletics. Kenya's Faith Kipyegon continued her 1,500-meter dominance as she won a historic fourth world gold at the distance. It's her fifth consecutive global gold at the event. Harry, our athletics commentator, watched the race in Tokyo.
Sure, why not?
Live to talk about the 31-year-old who matched retired men's world record.
Anything else?
As the only
Hoodies.
1,500-meter world titles. It was also a Kenyan one too, as Dorcas Iwo finished second.
Whatever. Switching it up here. Gray shorts.
The Gunners needing their substitutes to get the result.
All shorts. What are chonglers? Sure. Gray.
Later on, we saw a thriller.
Black and gray.
Drew 4-4 with Borussia Dortmund. And we also
Oh, they're shorts, I guess.
Belgian champs Union Saint-Gilloise and Azerbaijan Karabakh got away wins to start their campaign. Union beating PSV 3-1 whilst Karabakh came from 2-0
Shoes.
Thank you very much for now. I'll speak to you again in the next half an hour.
Black high
South Korean
tops.
worker who was detained in the US last week in a major immigration raid
Come on.
told the BBC he is still
Sure.
traumatized by what happened to him. He was one
They
of
don't
the
look very, I guess they're high tops, whatever.
when they raided a
Spend
car
some of that
factory
$64 million.
South Korean companies. The workers were kept in detention
High roller.
before being allowed to return to the South Korean capital Seoul on Friday. The incident has upset relations between close allies South Korea and the US, especially as South Korea had agreed to invest billions by moving some of its manufacturing.
Should I?
Well, the young engineer was in the
Let's
US
take the mask off for a while, I
He
guess.
asked us to conceal his identity. as he
Put
was
on
worried
some
about
shades
crime
or
in the
something.
US. One of our producers has revoiced his words. He started by telling our Seoul correspondent, Jean Mackenzie, what happened when the immigration officials arrived at the factory.
When I looked outside, I saw agents running around with guns. There were armored vehicles and even a helicopter above. The scariest part
All right,
was
we're
the
good to go. That was a waste of time, right?
and told us to come out. I panicked and went completely blank. I felt sick.
Back
I
to
thought I'd
finding
be
the
released,
hippie
since I don't have any
shopper.
visa issues.
Oh, I think I need to get to a gym.
When they started putting handcuffs on me.
My muscles going downward.
Videos of the
Oh,
work
where
in
is there one on the map?
Is this what they did to you?
Get.
Yes, one by one, we were cuffed at the wrists and chained at the waist. It's shackled at the ankles.
Have I not found it?
I couldn't understand why we're being treated so
There it is.
How did they treat you when you
We'll
got
go do
to the
that.
detention center?
They put us in a room with about 60 to 70 people and locked the door behind us. I had a panic attack. I just stood there, trembling.
What was it like sleeping there on the first night?
We're like over by Burgerland, right?
Someone asked the guards if they could turn down the AC, but they said they didn't have the authority. We weren't even given blankets for 2 days. I was wearing a short-sleeved t-shirt, so I put my arms inside my clothes and wrapped myself in a towel to try to stay warm. But the worst part was the water. It smelled like sewage. We drank as little as possible.
Did you have any idea how long you were going to be held there for?
No, I had no idea. I thought I might be there for at least a month, maybe even a few. Then after 3 or 4 days, some workers were able to meet a
Where's
lawyer,
the
and we
there
learned
it
we might be able
is.
to leave later that week.
Talking to you about this now, I sense that you still find this very difficult.
See how long I have to do this. 6:20, 16:20
When I first sat down
on the
at airport,
clock, camera clock,
but I couldn't feel
timer.
anything. It was like I was hollow inside. It wasn't until my mom cooked me dinner tonight that it really hit me, and I cried for the first time.
How many reps? 30, 29.
If I smell something similar to the prison, I start trembling and get short of breath, so I don't stay out for long.
You were based on a visa waiver on an ESTA, which allows you to have business meetings. But do you think in any way you overstepped the terms of your visa?
No, never. I only attended meetings and gave training presentations.
32,
That's all.
huh?
So I never
I
thought
was
I was doing
wrong.
anything illegal.
South
34.
Korean companies have said they're going to invest billions in the States to build factories like the one that you were working on.
Muscle. Maybe it was maxed out already. I don't know.
And
Maybe I didn't need to do that. Maintain though, right?
Honestly, my trust in the U.S. has been deeply shaken. The ICE agents who arrested us said they were just following orders. That means the order came from higher up. So no, I don't think the U.S. is trustworthy. I'll probably have to go there again for work, but I'll definitely avoid Georgia if I can. That interview.
All right, hippie shopper, where are you?
Let's turn to our business news now, and we're going to take a look at the weight loss pill industry. A new trial from drug maker Eli Lilly has found that
Somewhere around here, somewhere.
cut body weight by a fifth. Let's get some details on this and say hello to our presenter Katie Silver. What do we know about it?
Right, so far
The
this
hippie,
trial
is that it?
conducted all on behalf of the company. And
It's,
it's on this drug called orforglipron. So do excuse my pronunciation. I'm
Put
sure that's
that
absolutely
there.
shocking.
Where are
Basically,
you?
3,000 people took
Is it the wrong
day,
one?
about
There's
1
two of them.
years, so it was a long trial.
Only one has the thing.
Lost a fifth of their body weight.
Hey,
Now,
where's
experts
the?
say to pave the way for millions more people to be able to use weight loss drugs to be able to shed the pounds. So the drug targets known as GLP-1 receptors.
Is it not the right time of day?
Targeted by weight loss injections like that, for example, of Wegovy. And by targeting these receptors, what they're finding is that the drugs are lowering
I think the other one's further away.
slowing digestion of food and reducing appetite.
The one without it.
The interesting part about all of this is that weight loss jabs have been transformative, but what researchers are really wanting to find
I think this is the correct.
They're easier to store, easier to distribute and administer, and therefore they're also likely, as part of this, to be cheaper and can be offered more widely, which might help to combat the growing issue when it comes to obesity. Now, it must be noted that these aren't yet approved by the US Food and Drug Administration. Regulators still, or any other regulators, to be honest, in other countries. The company is saying that it expects substantial demand when the pill is eventually approved and launched. And these results are being published. They're going to be published in the New England Journal of Medicine, as well as being presented later this month at a conference in Vienna, in Austria. So it is certainly
there it is, the other one.
To combat global obesity, particularly in countries
where it was trialled in the likes of US, China, Brazil, India, Japan, and South Korea.
And we've seen the impact that various types
On a
of injections
motorbike.
with
All
similar,
right.
weight loss abilities has had as well, not only for people but for companies
Consult the
in terms
map.
of their value as well. We'll speak to you again soon, Katie.
Two are
You're
close.
listening
I'll
to
go to the
Newsday
further
on the
one that
BBC
I'm
World
pointing at. On the map, that is.
Distribution of the BBC World Service in the United States is made possible by American Public Media, producer and distributor of award-winning public radio content, engaging audiences, creating meaningful experiences, and fostering conversations. APM, American Public Media, with support
Up
from
to the
JLL,
others.
providing predictive intelligence to identify
Oh,
industry
you.
market shifts and trends. JLL.com. JLL. See a brighter way.
The corona. Not virus. Though, just the corona. Smack.
Hello, welcome to Newsday from the BBC World Service with James Copnell and Priya Rai.
The UN Commission accuses Israel of genocide as
Level 1.
Gaza City intensifies.
After a BBC investigation, Ugandan Parliament discusses the case of a man operating a sex ring in Dubai. We'll ask a local politician if action will be taken.
And I'm going to story about AI and giraffes. Stay tuned to find out more.
Alright, plot it out here.
BBC News with Neil Nunes. Donald Trump has said the UK warms
It's
his
hard to
heart
see.
at the start of his historic
1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3,
wife Melania will head to Windsor Castle
4.
Wednesday,
Alright,
where
loop
they'll
it
be hosted
around.
by King Charles. Meanwhile, 4 people have been arrested after demonstrators projected images onto the castle of Mr. Trump with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Last week, Britain's ambassador to the US was sacked because of his links to the convicted pedophile.
Who's
Thousands of
what was
Palestinians
sacked?
are continuing to flee Gaza City a day after Israel began its ground offensive there in an effort to defeat Hamas. Many are heading south along the coast on foot. The man accused of murdering the American right-wing activist Charlie Kirk has made his first appearance in court. Tyler Robinson showed no emotion as the judge read out the charges. A Democrat has won an election in the U.S. state of Minnesota to replace Melissa Hortman, the Democratic politician who was assassinated in June.
Oh, come on. I'm gonna lose because of a hill I tried to go up.
Unification church in South Korea has been questioned by prosecutors over bribery allegations.
Might as well start over.
Suspected of giving a luxury necklace.
Probably, right? Maybe not.
Former President Yoon Suk-yeol. United Nations is proposing a cut of 15% to its regular budget next year. It's been struggling to cope with reduced funding from the US and other countries. Australia and Papua New Guinea have failed to sign an expected defence treaty during a visit to the Pacific nation by the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
Now way over here, huh?
Mr. Albanese also left Vanuatu without signing a security pact. BBC News.
Just go.
Thank you very much for that news. Hello, welcome to Newsday. You're on the BBC World Service with James and
Oh, I'm
Priya.
stuck in
Now,
here.
over the next half an hour,
Ooh, food.
Gaza and Uganda. You'll also hear about the challenges of transporting freight
All kinds
around
of
the
it.
African continent. We'll find out how AI is helping scientists identify and track
The food
giraffes.
gauntlet.
And in our sports news,
I'm gonna lose now, right?
Championships in Japan.
Screwing
As ever,
off too
your
much.
thoughts on any of our stories always welcome. Our number for you to do so via WhatsApp or text message
Never mind.
is +44 77 86 20 50 85.
Hard enough going up those steps. Come on.
Israel has launched one of its biggest offensives in its war in Gaza, a conflict which has lasted almost 2 years. Thousands of Palestinians are trying to escape the ground offensive.
Why'd I
in
do
Gaza
that?
City.
Oh my.
The UN Secretary General describing the operation as horrendous and the war is morally, politically, and legally intolerable. Israel says it's acting because Gaza City is Hamas's last stronghold. It comes as a UN Commission of Inquiry
Bike skill.
Israel committed genocide, has committed genocide in Gaza. The experts accuse Israel of killing Palestinians, causing them serious bodily and mental harm,
Where is it?
deliberately inflicting conditions calculated to
Mm.
destroy them, and preventing births. The report cites statements
2
by
minutes
friendly
to
leaders
do the
on
last
pattern of conduct by
2.
Israeli forces
I
as
don't
evidence
know.
of genocidal intent. Israel has dismissed the report as anti-Semitic
Ah,
violence inspired by Hamas. BBC's Lucy Williamson reports from Jerusalem.
baloney. It's right there.
After many weeks of mourning and almost 2 years of war, Israel says it's begun expanding its ground offensive to capture
I
Gaza
think
City.
I can do it.
Residents living in rubble, used to bombing, have described this fresh assault as hell. One told the BBC the army was advancing along several fronts, accompanied by booby-trapped vehicles and intense strikes.
Uh,
Gaza City
uh.
is the central hub of Hamas's military and governing power, their main stronghold. Hamas has turned Gaza City into the largest human shield in history.
Israel says at least 2,000 Hamas fighters are based here, hiding behind
All
civilians.
right,
So
maybe.
where do you take your child?
My bike's all beat up.
There's nothing. I lost everything. All my savings. I have nothing left. Get me out of Gaza. No one can stop the war. I won't survive this genocide. Me and my children.
A UN inquiry concluded that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza by killing, causing serious harm, preventing births, and deliberately inflicting on Palestinians in Gaza conditions of life calculated to bring about their destruction.
So we looked at statements made by the
Yeah.
authorities indicating genocide
Mm.
intent, and we looked at the
That's how
pattern
you
of
do
conduct
that
of
one. All
Israeli
right.
authorities and Israeli security forces to show that genocidal intent was the only reasonable inference.
Level
Israel
what?
has forcefully rejected the report.
Israel categorically rejects
1, 2,
the
3, 4,
libelous
5.
rant published today by this Commission of Inquiry.
1, 2, 3,
The malicious genocide narrative.
4,
The report diverges from the mandate
5.
of the Commission, yet again stressing their biased analysis.
The trickle of people fleeing Gaza City swelled today.
Uh.
Israel says some 40% of the population have now left, offered a future as human casualties or human shields in the place where once they were simply human.
Lucy Williamson reporting.
Up the way.
Has been debating the case of Charles Mosigwa, who a BBC investigation has identified as running a sex ring operating in Dubai's most glamorous neighbourhoods. Mr. Mosigwa is accused of exploiting vulnerable women from his home country of Uganda. Many of these women believed they were travelling to Dubai to work in supermarkets or hotels, but say they were pressured into sex work once they arrived. The problem of young women being exploited in the UAE came to light after the death of Monique Karongi, who died after falling from a building in 2022. Well, Uganda's State Minister of Foreign Affairs, Henry Okello Oryem, said that the Ugandan authorities were looking into the case.
I've asked my ambassador in the UAE to look at it closer, and we're going to ask our
Whereabouts?
police here also to liaise with their police on the other side in the UAE to establish the facts of this matter. If the police establish that there is a case for prosecution, we want it prosecuted and tried.
Well, we can speak now to Sharon Kemigisha, who's a councillor from Wandagea in Kampala. Sharon, how did what the BBC investigation uncovered about Charles Mosigwa make you feel?
Am I going the right way? Pretty
Honestly
much.
speaking, upon watching the whole documentary and all the things that untold truth that has been revealed in that documentary. As a humanitarian activist, as a person, as a victim of human trafficking, that came up with a book that I wrote really, talking about my own personal experience and what really happens in the fancy buildings out there. I had a very sleepless night because being a victim, this took me 10 years back when I was working as a maid in Oman. So honestly speaking, thanks to the team of BBC that came up with the idea of uncovering the truth that we've been advocating for, we've been talking about, we're calling attention of our Ugandan government to
hope
look
my
at these,
bike
because
doesn't blow
literally
up.
things have been happening. The death of Monica and the friend, there are several lives that have been lost in the same scenario. So I honestly speaking, this did leave me the same. It moved me, leaving me in a position of calling upon my government. Good enough, yesterday we had as Speaker of Parliament talk about it, and the minister that is responsible was sent to have a cabinet meeting to talk about what is really happening. Yes, they did that, but this is not the first time a similar incident is coming at the floor of Parliament. So hopefully this time around they'll come up with a lasting solution to this, because many
Get the
lives
furthest
have been
down
lost.
south first.
We keep on seeing the similar stories coming up. The only difference in this documentary is that we have the culprit, the person behind, the perpetrator of this. Hopefully, there will be something done to this person, because I believe it is a bigger cartel of this sex business that is going on. So I hold my hopes up to see what the government is going to do, being that we have a perpetrator at hand to be answerable to whatever has been going on.
And you
On
can talk about
to
how
that.
you were watching based on your own personal experiences, but also from what you're saying, it sort of sounds like it was commonplace and it was a given that that may have been your experience and others' experience.
Yes, because this issue has not started today.
Upgraded bike skill.
We
Woohoo.
have media platforms where we can literally see what is happening. But this is a thing that has been recurrently happening. The loss of lives, the human trafficking that is going on, because I do believe it is a bigger cartel.
Over here.
And when you dig so deep in what is happening, you may find that there are bigger people in this cartel that are even protected by the government. That is why we've never come up with a lasting solution to this.
And you say you have some hope now. Are you feeling any sense of closure or sense that it is now being taken seriously by authorities?
It is just only hope. With a broken system that we have as a government, my hope is less, but we just keep on hoping and see what is going to come out of the cabinet, because the cabinet minister gave us hope on the floor of Parliament, hoping to hear from what he's coming back with from the cabinet itself.
Mr. Mosigwa denies the allegations made about him in the BBC investigation. Sharon, it's good to be able to speak to you, and thank you for sharing with us as well.
That
Tuesday on the BBC World Service. Plenty more to come this half hour. Look at the difficulties moving freight around the African continent. We'll head to South Africa.
I'm sure I'll check it soon. The map again.
Giraffes too.
It's quite hard to follow that, but I'm sure I think Isaac Fanning's the guy to do so.
Yeah, I had nothing either, to be fair. But at 1,500 meters,
Pretty much, I guess.
Faith Kipyegon storming away with 25 metres and more, 30 metres and more. Faith Kipyegon, 4 world titles for the greatest.
Oh, and it's on fire. I gotta try again. What a waste of time. 3 out of 4. Ooh, and it was the last one.
Sorry for the other athletes. 1500 meters is such a tough event, but Kipyegon just makes it look so easy.
I should get food while I'm
She was never troubled. She was never
before I get hungry, right?
So the 4, 2017, 22, 23, and 25, and the only reason she wasn't the 2019 Worlds is because her daughter was born in 2080. 3 Olympic gold medals as well, along with the 50 meters world record and the mile world record. Absolutely peerless, and that was just about as straightforward a win that you'll see here all week. Although, of course, all the work goes into it behind the scenes, but
3,
that performance was
4,
stunning.
Yeah, let's hear what
5.
she had to say after the race.
This was my target to just, just defend my title, and I knew I was capable of defending my title after breaking the world record in Eugene, and I thank God that I was strong today, and and good health.
What makes her so good, Faith Kipyegon, Ed?
Go gather some weapons.
For a podcast that will be released later.
Sniper and grenade.
He was talking about dedication, her mental attitude. He actually recalled a story where he'd seen this little girl racing in 2009 up against much bigger girls, senior girls, and beating them. And even though she wasn't particularly physically developed then, he could already see that winner's mentality. She's a great advocate for a great many things in Kenya.
Oh, I can't remember where that hippie shopper was. I'll find it.
To her heart, she is this ambassadorial figure as well. But on the track, Isaac, she continues to be peerless. And this body of work now stretching from the 26th.
Why doesn't this garage open? It's broken.
9 years and starting a family too during that period. It's been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and she's 1 gold down. She's hoping to add a second in the coming days too.
Yeah, can't wait for this. This is the
increase that skill, right? It's not going to go up by itself. Oh, that's enough.
And the Olympic champion, Beatrice Chebet. Chebet's already won the 10,000 meters here. She's that event's world record holder. Chebet did the 5 and 10 double at the Olympics, so she needs the 5 to complete her double. Faith Kipyegon needs the 5 to complete her double. Chebet is the 5,000 meters world record holder.
See if I can go find that.
Was the 5,000 meters world record holder. It is going to be
somewhere around here, I think.
Penultimate night of competition on Saturday.
Yeah, you set up a tantalizing scene there, Ed. We saw another American goal.
Yeah, it's looking familiar.
That's right, for Cordell Tinch, who has been the man to beat all season. He ran a time right at the start of the outdoor season in China that put him equal 4th on the all-time list. He didn't hurdle at all for 3 years. During COVID, he came home from college, he didn't really want to go back, and then he got a call from a student athlete, a good friend of his, and then a call from a coach, and that lured him back to college athletics.
Right there, right?
He hasn't looked back since. End of an era, for now at least, for Grant Holloway. 6 years, 8 global championships, 7 golds and silver for Holloway in the sprint hurdles. But he's been injured this year, and he didn't make it through his semi-final. He actually finished in last place, but I'm sure we'll see him again.
So, Ed, what's on your list today at the World Championships?
The men's 1,500 metres is the headliner. Josh Kerr is the reigning world champion. Jake Whiteman, his fellow Briton, won it last time. We don't have the Olympic champion, Cole Hocker. He was disqualified from the semis for jostling. He saw a gap diagonally to his outside, and he sort of went through it as though he was reaching to go through a door, and that got him disqualified. There's always jostling, but that was deemed to be enough to disqualify him. So no Olympic champion, no Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He went out in the heats as well after being injured this season, and no Fanwell Koech of Kenya either. This great young sensation, the under-20 world record holder, but Niels Ross of the Netherlands, another young athlete.
Banging it up already. Get on there.
A huge challenger to Kerr in particular.
Oh, I still have police on me. Get out of here.
Looking forward to catching up with you on that tomorrow. That is our athletics commentator, Ed Harry, there. I'll have a little bit more sport for you.
Thanks for now, though, Isaac.
For truck drivers transporting goods across the African continent, long waits at border crossings and problems with paperwork are all too frequent problems. As any business owner will tell you, delays like these cost money. These are the sorts of
Hooray.
difficulties which are driving efforts to make trade across the continent more straightforward. One of those raising this issue is Dan Gaines, Executive Director of the South Africa-Nigeria Business Chamber and CEO of Africa at Work, an advisory company focusing on African businesses. She joins us from Johannesburg. Welcome to Newsday.
All right,
A
whereabouts?
concrete example of where you've seen these sorts of
That
problems.
looping it this
Well, I
way.
think that, good morning, and thank you for having me. But I think that the issue I raised, which led to this interview, was the border crossing at Chirundu, which is the border between Zimbabwe and Zambia, and it is also the route through to the Democratic Republic of Congo, to Malawi, and to the region in Central Africa. So it's a very, very busy border post, and always has been. And many of those trucks come from South Africa and go through there to these destinations. And what you get there is sometimes kilometers of trucks just parked on the side of the main road, waiting to go through these border crossings. And so the issues are often about the fact that the soft infrastructure is not in place. And these are being set up as one-stop border posts. So the idea is that you only stop once. So instead of stopping on both sides of the border, the truck only needs to be cleared through on one side, depending on which way it's going. And these were introduced as a way of stopping these, of addressing these backlogs. But they have worked, and there's no doubt that it's a better system than the old one. But it's not been optimal. And I think the fact that there were queues of trucks outside the Chirundu border post just last week, when I saw it, is testament to the fact that it's not working optimally. And the Chirundu border post was the first border post introduced in Southern Africa. So there's many problems around that, and this includes different documentation on both sides. Things aren't properly harmonized always, and I think countries do tend to hang a little bit onto their sovereignty, despite these agreeing to these arrangements. And so these are some of the issues that are taking place at these border crossings. And as you mentioned, these are potentially huge costs. Delaying trucks at a border crossing for
there goes my bike, right? I better be careful.
Is a huge cost for companies moving goods.
Yeah, and do you see the solutions as largely technical, or is it more something to do with perhaps political will in places?
I think both of those are very important. The political will is on the face of it, the political will is there for these border posts to join forces. But I think deep down, often what happens at road borders, and this is why they're so difficult to tackle, because a lot of these are in quite far away places, is the fact that once the truck is there, an official has quite a lot of power to do whatever they want. Decide that even though the truck is cleared to go through and they want to search it, they can actually do that and delay their truck. And so that is the one issue. The other issue is people are not always well trained, and the systems do not necessarily work together. There's often lack of interoperability between the two countries, and different standards, different documentation. The harmonization of standards is a big issue in trade in Africa. The fact that the countries do not harmonize their standards means that each time you cross a border,
it hasn't respawned yet.
This doesn't apply necessarily to transit traffic, but it is nevertheless an issue, and particularly at border posts. So a lot of time and investment is going into trying to sort out these issues, and one of those areas is investment in digitizing these customs systems. I think that there is digitalization of the systems at these borders, at many of them. But if there's a power cut or something like that, there's no internet, and so then the system falls down. And this is quite regular in a lot of countries where power deficits are very real. So the soft infrastructure is a big issue as well. But there is a lot of attention being paid to this by investors, by the African Development Bank and its agencies,
like
and by
skill
the
up.
African Free Trade Area Secretariat as well.
Dan Gaines, Executive Director of South Africa Nigeria Business Chamber and CEO of Africa at Work. Thank you.
Now, question for you. Did you know that
Good
the
job.
markings in a giraffe can be as
The faraway
individual
one,
as
is
a
it?
person's fingerprint? Wow.
Is this the
knowledge has
last
been
one?
used to
No, it's
track
not the
these
last one.
animals
I'm
as
gonna
they roam
not.
about in the wild. Up
My
until
bike's gonna
now,
blow up, right?
conservationists drew sketches of giraffe
So we're
markings
going
so that
one,
they could
two,
identify them and also follow
three,
their movements. But now
four.
the task has been simplified by using artificial intelligence to spot the patterns. Well,
One,
scientists
two,
in Tanzania say the technology is offering
four,
a new clue
five.
about
All
where
right.
these animals live and survive. And speaking with us now from Arusha in Tanzania is Dr. Monica Bond. She's a scientist with the NGO Wild Nature Institute and also a research associate
It's
at
only
the
the
University
third
of
one.
Zurich who uses the AI tool. So, how does it
Oh,
help
where's the
giraffes? How does it
garage?
fundamentally work?
On the way.
Well,
I'll
hey,
fix
thank
it.
you for
Yeah,
having me
right
here.
there.
I'm delighted to talk about my favorite subject, which is giraffes. We are doing long-term research on giraffes, tracking them individually by their footprints, as you
Oh,
say. And we are learning
no stunt
things
bonus
like
for
where
that. Come
across the
on.
landscape they have higher survival, where they have better reproduction, where they're moving around the landscape, and also their social behaviors. And we do this by taking a photograph of each individual, so those spot patterns don't change from the time that the giraffe is born till the time it dies. So we know who all of our animals are. We know where they move around. We know their survival rates, reproduction, etc. And from this, we can then determine where in the landscape giraffes are doing well and where they're not. So we can target conservation actions to the places where they're needed most, and we can help recover the populations that are declining. And so we go out on our giraffe surveys and take more than 1,000 photographs on each survey. We do this 6 to 9 times per year. And
All right,
we've been
where's
doing this for
the
15 years.
thing?
So we've amassed literally at this point now more
Direct
than
wheel.
100,000 photographs of giraffes. So each photograph we take has to be matched back to the patterns of previous photos we've taken. And you can imagine that this is not something we can do by eye. It's really onerous. And so these AI tools have been helping us to process our vast amounts of data. We call it big data for big animals. So now it only takes literally seconds to do what used to take weeks and weeks to do, which is match these patterns. So then we
Down in there.
history of how often we're seeing these giraffes, so we can get some really important information about their lives.
Well, yes. So essentially, then the AI, the incorporation of the artificial intelligence is helping with the processing of all the data you've collected. And so, when you say it's giving you other information, what kind of things has it revealed that you might not have been able to as easily before?
All right, where to?
Exactly. So it's
Hopefully that didn't kill my time.
And so my job is to go out and
I don't
collect the
think
photographs,
so.
and then I ask questions
Right
about
there.
giraffe lives and giraffe survival. And the step in between taking all those photographs and then answering those questions is the onerous part of the processing of the data, and that's where the AI tool comes in. It helps us to basically get the answers that we need much quicker. So we still
Yeah, sort of went the wrongish
looking at the
way.
results, interpreting the results, determining the conservation actions, but the AI tool helps us to get from data collection in the field to being able to answer those questions about where giraffes are doing well, where they're not, and why.
What have you learned about that, though? What has it told you about where they're doing well or not?
Well, what it's told us is that in some parts of the ecosystem, the giraffes are declining, and why might that be? It's because adults, for example, are not surviving well. So in a natural population, it's natural for a lot of the calves to experience mortality from larger predators. But once a giraffe is an adult, so 5 or 6 years old, they have very, very high survival because they're relatively invulnerable to natural predation. What we see is that people tend to be a problem for the adult giraffes. You have illegal poaching. There's also a lot of paving over of habitat, making them farms and human settlements, this kind of thing. So we've actually pinpointed that the problem is lower adult survival, and we've determined where that is occurring. So then we can target things like anti-poaching patrols and that kind of thing into areas where we've discovered through fast processing of our data where the problems are occurring.
And just very briefly, if you can, what are the wider benefits to the rest of the environment if giraffes can be better protected?
That's a really wonderful question. So
The
giraffes
last
have a very,
one. I
they're
think
really
I
big
can do
animals. They
it.
have a very large range, but maybe about
Oh,
150 or more square kilometers. So when you're protecting the habitat for an animal that
let
ranges
me
that
out of
widely, it's
here.
protecting the habitat for so many other species that occur within there. So giraffes can be, not only
Just
are
let
they
me
sort of
out.
iconic flagship species for conservation because they're so loved around the world, but they're also helping to protect all those smaller species that share the savanna with them.
It's really fascinating, and I can tell how enthusiastic you are about it as well. So it's good to be able to hear from you,
Am
Dr.
I going the right
You're
way?
listening to Newsday,
Yeah,
BBC World Service.
pretty much. Oh,
And you're listening to the BBC World Service on Main Public Radio. In May, weather tonight, partly cloudy skies, lows 44 to 52. For tomorrow, partly sunny, highs 72 to
oh, I just went the
77.
wrong
For
way.
tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies, lows 49 to 56. And for Thursday, partly to mostly sunny, highs 73 to 81. You're listening to listener-supported Main Public Radio, WMEA Portland 90.1. WMEH
Oh my God, bad.
W Waterville 91.3, WMED
The
Charles
rain.
89.7, WMEM Presque Isle 106.1, WMEF Fort Kent 106.5, WMEP Camden 90.5, WBSP Millinocket 90.1, WBEO Bethel 91.3, WMHD Greenville 89.7,
Up
and
and
online at mainpublic.org.
over and up.
The BBC World Service.
Maybe over some more. Whoops.
Hello and welcome to Newsday. You're with James Copnell and Priya Rai. Thank you very much for joining us.
As the United Nations Commission says that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, what's it mean to people living through the latest ground offensive in Gaza City?
Elsewhere, the US President Donald Trump has arrived in the UK for a state visit. It says American companies have announced billions of dollars of investment in the British AI sector.
Colombia responds to US accusations of failure to tackle cocaine production.
Over there.
An end to weapons purchases from the
Doing it the other way this time. Now we'll get that last, right? So go up here. Heading north. And north and north, north.
And football's Champions League is underway with win for Real Madrid's 10 men and Arsenal as well. More big fixtures are on the way. Isaac will have the details after the latest world news.
Hello, I'm Neil Nunes with the BBC News. Donald Trump is in Britain for his second state visit as US president. Arriving at the US ambassador's residence in London, he said the UK was a great place that warmed his heart. On Wednesday, King Charles will host Mr. Trump for a state banquet at Windsor Castle with an unusually large military parade and a carriage procession. Here's our senior royal correspondent, Daniela Ralph.
This will be a state visit behind closed doors. There are no events that are public-facing due to the security risks. The traditional carriage procession for the President and First Lady will follow a route around the grounds of Windsor Castle rather than through the town centre. The Ministry of Defence has described the scale and spectacle of the welcome ceremony at the castle as unprecedented. 1,300 members of the military will take part, and the King and President will inspect the largest guard of honour ever gathered for a state visit to the UK.
As the president's trip began, the British government announced a deal for major US
Two
tech
more?
firms,
Am I
including
missing
Microsoft,
one?
Nvidia, and Google, to invest a combined $42 billion to boost AI, quantum computing, and nuclear technology. Thousands of Palestinians are continuing to flee Gaza City, a day after Israel began its ground offensive there.
Three more. What am I missing?
The heads of aid
Oh, I
organizations
see it.
working in Gaza have called for urgent intervention.
By the burger place.
Concluded Israel was committing genocide.
We'll go to that one
Israel
first.
rejects. Here's Yolanda now.
Many of those fleeing the deadly bombardment in Gaza City are heading south along the coastal road on foot because transportation is now so expensive. The journey can take 9 hours in intense heat. And once families arrive at the overcrowded area which the Israeli military has deemed a humanitarian zone, there are no guarantees of shelter or safety. In a joint statement, the leaders of more than 20 major aid agencies, including Save the Children and Oxfam, say the inhumanity of the situation in Gaza is unconscionable.
The leader of the Unification Church in South Korea, also known as the Moonies, has appeared for questioning by
Now
prosecutors
back
over
to
bribery
this
allegations.
one.
Han Hak-ja, the widow of the church's founder Moon Sung-myung, is suspected of colluding with a church official to bribe a member of the
Canooding?
former president
Colluding? Is that what he said? Did I hear it
Accused of
wrong?
murdering the right-wing political activist Charlie Kirk has appeared in court in the US for the first time. Tyler Robinson showed no emotion as the judge read out the 7 charges against him. The prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. They've released text messages allegedly sent by Mr. Robinson, in which he confessed to last week's killing, saying he had had enough of Mr. Kirk's hatred. BBC News. Reports from western Niger say gunmen on motorbikes have shot dead 22 people in an attack on a village. A resident told the French news
22.
agency that most were killed while attending a baptism in the Tillabéri region, which borders Mali and Burkina Faso. Niger has struggled to contain jihadist violence in the region. The chief suspect in the notorious disappearance of the British toddler Madeleine
here.
McCann is due to be released from jail in Germany. Christian Bruckner has
Ooh,
been
lots
serving
of
a sentence
ammo
for
for the
rape, which
sniper
runs out
rifle.
today.
Great.
Details from
Wonderful.
Jessica Parker.
The 48-year-old is finishing a jail term for raping an elderly woman in Praia da Luz in Portugal in 2005. It was in 2007 that the British toddler Madeleine McCann disappeared from her family's holiday apartment, also in Praia da Luz. Bruckner's release is a blow to German prosecutors who've conceded they don't currently have sufficient evidence to bring charges against him in the McCann case. The German national, whose list of past convictions includes child sex offences, has denied any involvement.
Australia and Papua New Guinea have failed to sign an expected defence treaty during a visit
Plenty
to
of
the
time to
Pacific
slam
nation by
into
the Australian
things.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The signing was delayed because the Papuan cabinet has not yet approved the agreement. A week ago, Mr. Albanese left Vanuatu, also without signing an expected security pact. These defence agreements are aimed at countering China's security influence in the region. The United Nations is proposing a cut of 15% to its regular budget next year.
Dun, da, da, da.
Funding from the United States and other countries.
That's one more. Is that it? Yeah.
This will require cutting nearly a fifth
Hooray,
of the
now
UN
what?
workforce. BBC World News.
I guess I'll go attempt the Mount Chiliad challenge. On the BBC World Service with Claire Wright and James Cook. For the next half an hour, we have stories from Gaza, Colombia, and the UK, with a tech deal to be announced as the US President Donald Trump arrives for a state visit. As Isaac will be here, getting you across the Champions League football, which kicked off last night. Super subs for Arsenal, while key Real Madrid subs saw red. Your thoughts are welcome as ever. You can send them by WhatsApp or text message on our usual number +44 77 86 20 50. Whereabouts? South. And save first.
Now, more than 20 aid agencies have called for urgent intervention in Gaza, calling the situation unconscionable. It's after the United Nations Commission of Inquiry has said that Israel is committing genocide in the Strip. Its report says top Israeli leaders showed intent to deliberately inflict conditions of life that could destroy the population and cites incidents such as
No traffic, what's going on?
In the last 24 hours, Israel has launched a major ground
What
offensive
happened?
against Gaza City.
What happened?
While its government says that it rejects the UN Commission's report, saying that it is distorted and false. It is worth mentioning here that ultimately it is up to the International Court of Justice to legally determine whether what's happening in Gaza is genocide. And that is something that could take years. But the Commission said that its latest report is the strongest and most authoritative UN finding to date on the war. So what
Am I
does
going the right way?
interventions mean for people living in Gaza? We can speak now to Ayad, who is a Gaza resident and
This
also a
way.
local humanitarian coordinator for local NGOs and is in Gaza City. Can you tell us, Ayad, how you are there at the moment and what it is like?
Blast off.
unbearable. We intensifying the combat prohibited indiscrimination.
Oh,
No food, no temperature,
more nitro.
and also to put our people to be targeted from the city, and especially the targeted the victim basket of the town, which is being populated with the civilians. The situation under this moment, I did the huge bombardment that is all around the Gaza city.
And
Up
for those of you
here.
listening to Ayad, as you can imagine,
Oh, maybe
it's
not.
particularly difficult to get a clear phone line with those there, but you could just about hopefully make out him talking about how fearful and untenable he says it is, and also the fears for safety in an area where there's a large civilian population as well. We appreciate you you doing your best to send us your messages there of what it is like there.
So, what sort of action is needed and what is actually possible? Talks about a ceasefire deal haven't been making much progress. Let's head now to Vienna to speak to Salah.
Oh, is that a gun store got a gun challenge?
Observer to the United Nations in Vienna. Welcome back to the program.
Where is it?
Do you welcome then this conclusion by the UN-appointed Commission of Inquiry that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza?
Of course, we welcome this. I mean, this is yet another report in addition to the reports by Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch,
Of course
and
not.
the Israeli human rights organization B'Tselem. All of them spoke about genocide in Gaza. Well, this is the first UN report that's speaking about genocide. This is important. However, this
Up
will
on the
not
roof.
change anything unless there
All
is a
right,
serious
save
effort
point.
by the international community to sanction
Where'd
Israel.
my
And
vehicle?
this is not a choice. This is an legal obligation for states when there is a genocide.
Get
They
in.
have to step in and put an end to it. Let me remind the listeners
Oh,
that
you lost
already in
him.
January 2024, the
He's
International Court
gone.
of Justice warned the world that the issue of genocide is plausible.
All right,
That
let's
if they do not step
see.
in, and that's why they issued provisional measures against Israel that Israel did not respect. So basically, it's the responsibility of the international community, not only governments, individuals, companies. Everybody should do what they can to stop the genocide.
I'm not
So
gonna
again,
save.
this report is very important.
Yeah, I'm gonna save.
But it will not
I might
change
have to
things
save
on
a
the
few
ground
times.
unless there is a serious effort on the side of governments, individuals, companies to sanction
Took
and
a long
boycott
way up there.
Israel's in terms of arms embargo, trade embargo, unless Israel, as long as Israel is not respecting international law.
Israel obviously denies that, refutes the conclusions of the report. Do you see, though, a change in the international perspective on Gaza?
I guess that's a good.
Does it matter if
Yeah,
the
let's
US
make it
continues to give its full
because it
backing?
starts at 8 a.m. and stops at. Oh, all right. I'll do a mission, I guess.
You know, today
Kill the
EU will
witness.
discuss sanctions on Israel, trade sanctions. But I'm afraid this is too little, too late. We need a whole package. Listen, the EU has approved 18 sanctions packages against Russia. 18, 1-8. And so far they've failed to suspend a tiny bit of a program of the association agreement with Israel. Still, even with the backing
Up
of
the
US
mountain.
administration to Israel, I think
Oh boy.
the European countries, EU, the UK, they have still so many instruments at their disposal that they can employ to pressure Israel and force it to stop the genocide.
Ultimately, though, does it not depend on the US in terms of international pressure?
Of course,
Up the mountain,
the
not
US
off the mountain.
is a major player.
Derp.
We all know that the US administration is complicit with Israel. They
It's
will
like
not
there's a
move, and that's why we think still
whatever.
that Europeans, the EU, the UK,
Whatever.
Norway, Japan,
Oh, what
all
am
of
I
these
doing?
countries, if they are serious about stopping the genocide, they can, again, they have still so many instruments at their disposal that they can employ. Look, Europe is the biggest trading partner with Israel. If you look at the association agreement between the EU and Israel, it covers
Woo,
all
off the
areas,
tree.
starting with customs and trade, through research, through cooperation in the space. So yes,
All
the
right,
EU
here we
is
go.
capable,
Maybe.
Europe is capable
Nope, not
to
yet.
influence and put pressure on Israel, even with the US backing for Israel.
Yeah, just before we came to you, perhaps, we were speaking to someone in Gaza really struggling to get through because of the
All
line. And I
right.
just wondered whether
I think
that's
this
something
is
that
the
you were
right
also
way.
experiencing, trying to get hold of friends, family members, perhaps even in Gaza.
Yes, I come from Gaza. I have still many family and friends. The last time I spoke to them was 2 days ago. We have 3 families of cousins living in what is left of our house in Gaza. They were telling me 2 days ago that they already packed, preparing to move to the south. Since yesterday, I'm not able to reach them.
Salat Shafi, the Palestinian Authority Ambassador to Austria and permanent observer to the United Nations in Vienna. Thank you.
You're listening to
All right.
Newsday from the BBC World Service with James and Priya. Reminder of some of our top
Smoke
stories
him
this
out.
morning. President Trump has begun an unprecedented second state visit to the UK. Thousands of Palestinians are continuing to stream out of Gaza City, as we've just been discussing, as aid organisations work in their call for urgent intervention. And the head of the Unification Church in South Korea has been questioned by prosecutors over bribery allegations.
Not sure why I did that.
President Trump's state visit to the UK. Air Force One touched down on Tuesday evening just outside London, from where a US military helicopter transported Mr. Trump to the US ambassador's residence in the centre of the capital.
What happened to my vehicle?
Charles at Windsor Castle as the first US president to be granted a second state visit to the UK. The BBC's North America editor Sarah Smith reports on the significance of the trip both for Britain and for Mr. Trump.
The Eagle has landed on British soil. It was a blustery welcome for America's first couple, who are bringing billions of pounds worth of commercial high-tech investment.
The snitch is getting away, no crap.
Windsor Castle has borne witness to countless historic events. The next will be the unprecedented second state visit of Donald Trump. For him and the First Lady, this visit is about reveling in the grandeur of a royal visit rather than the nitty-gritty of trade deals or transatlantic diplomacy.
My relationship is very good with the UK, and Charles, as you know, who's now king, is my friend.
And the burning
it's the first time
vehicle.
this has ever happened where somebody was honored twice, so it's a great honor. And this one's at Windsor. They've never used Windsor Castle for this before. They used Buckingham Palace. And I don't want to say one's better than the other, but they say Windsor Castle is the ultimate, right?
Anti-Trump protesters, however polite they may appear, will be kept well out of the president's sight.
It is my pleasure to bring from His Majesty the King a letter. He sends his best wishes and his...
On Sir Keir Starmer's first White House visit, he quickly played his royal Trump card.
So can I present the letter from the King? Thank you very much. Am I supposed to read it right now? Yeah, please do.
This is what no other
All right,
nation
I'll
can
do
offer.
more
And
missions, I
President Trump
guess.
will never refuse.
I think they gotta call
They make
me
a
or
rather odd
something.
couple, with very different politics and personalities, but they appear to genuinely like each other.
We all know the great Prime Minister of the UK, and we just signed a document. This is
Even if it doesn't always look like a relationship of equals, they will be finessing the very trade deal they had in their hands in Canada in June.
But we made a deal, and it's a great deal. And I'm into helping them. Our country is doing very well. We've never done this well. We're having trillions of dollars coming because of the tariffs. And they'd like to see if they can get a little bit better deal. So we're talking.
The full royal pageantry that's being prepared may be the highlight for President Trump. Alongside the majestic display, there's also business to be done.
Oh, this, all right.
Several high-tech investment deals are due to be announced, particularly around artificial intelligence, bringing many billions of pounds of investment into the UK.
I think that it's amazing that despite the politics, we have something that can bring the countries together, sort of above the politics. And I think what this state visit is amazing to kind of keep that special relationship.
I mean, this is one of the longest lasting relationships in history.
Yeah.
And it's great.
The biggest protective security operation since the coronation is now in place for President Trump's visit, with policing boat teams on the Thames as well as drone and snipers all in place. The recent murder of US right-wing activist Charlie Kirk and the attempted assassination of Mr. Trump last year means security is tighter than ever.
That was BBC's North America editor Sarah Smith on some of the political angle of the trip. But what about the business deals? Here is our business presenter Katie Silver now. Some have already been announced.
Where is
and
this?
There's some that we could be expecting.
Way over there, of course.
That's right. So as Sarah was saying there in her piece, we have already heard about billions of dollars spent or pledged to be spent. So there's already this announcement of a $42 billion tech pact to try and boost ties when it comes to things like AI, quantum computing, and nuclear energy with top US firms. Now, it's been hailed by Britain's Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, who said that the deal has the potential to shape the future for millions of people on both sides of the Atlantic, delivering growth and security. And of course, the US is a hugely important trading partner for the UK. It's its largest, and the tech companies have big investments there. Of course, for many, London particularly was seen as the European headquarters, and despite Brexit, most they have continued their huge investments in the British capital. But you'll remember too,
Make you drive far, far away.
all of those tariff negotiations, and the British Prime Minister is pitching it as a better bet for US investment, particularly over the European Union, which the Trump administration has criticised, saying that, for example, European online safety laws and digital taxes are impacting, being too interventionist when it comes to companies basing themselves there. Now, under the deal announced, we've already heard, for example, chipmaker NVIDIA saying that it's going to be deploying about 120,000 graphics processing units across the country. And Microsoft has said that it's going to invest about $30 billion to both expand cloud and AI infrastructure, as well as to try and build a supercomputer just northeast of London. Now, our tech editor,
Hey, come on.
sat down with Microsoft's boss, Satya Nadella, and he told her that the huge investment should help to boost Britain's economy in the
There's a
next few years.
cab.
He mentioned, for example, that AI could impact the economy, overall the global economy, like the personal computer did when it became common in the workplace a couple of decades ago, but that there are concerns, of course, amongst many that when it comes to AI, there may well be a lucrative bubble that is about to burst. And the other issue as well that was addressed, and I do encourage anyone to go to the website and read this very interesting non-read by Zoe, was the issue of energy consumption as well, something that she put to him as well. But I'll let people check that out on the website.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Katie. And actually, also a little later in the programme, we will hear about a similar pattern of investment when it comes to the AI industry when Donald Trump visited the Middle East earlier this year. Now let's turn to our sport with Isaac.
Yeah, we're going to talk Faye Kipyega when she continued her 1,500-metre dominance as she won a historic fourth world gold title at the World Championships. We're also going to look at the Champions League, which returned, Arsenal securing a 2-0 win away at Bilbao. Juventus drew 4-4 with Borussia Dortmund.
Let's see.
So plenty more sport a little bit later on in the programme.
Brilliant.
Back home almost. All right. Where is it?
And the worsening state of relations between Washington and Bogota,
No.
which is now announced it will no longer buy weapons from the United States. President Gustavo Petro said the Colombian military would be better off getting an ownership elsewhere. That came after the US removed Colombia from a list of allies in its fight against drug cartels, saying the South American nation was not upholding its obligations to control drug trafficking. The US, though, has stopped short of cutting off aid. In his part, President Petro has said demand from the US for illegal drugs is a key part of the problem. So how do we get to this point? I've been speaking to BBC's Colombian correspondent, Carlos Cueto, in Bogota. Donald Trump and Petro are very different politically. They have very different political ideas. And for example, Petro has heavily criticized the migration policy of Donald Trump. For example, in January, with that flight of deported Colombians from the United States, Petro complained about the conditions in which those Colombians were being deported to Colombia, and he essentially sent the airplane back. And that created a massive crisis between the two presidents, who were for very long hours on the platform X, pretty much each other with economic countries. That got resolved, but since then, tensions have been growing up until the point that Petro has also criticized the deployment of warships to fight narco traffickers in the region by Donald Trump recently in the last few weeks, and now by the confirmation of something that was expected in Colombia, which is essentially the U.S. administration desertifying the efforts of Colombia and fighting the drug problem.
When the why'd I drop like that? Why am I way out there? Weird.
Trade. Is that correct, do you think?
I will leave that
what
in
is
there.
right is that both cocaine production and coca cultivation areas are at record.
Now let's take it.
2024, for example, the United Nations reported that cocaine production has surged by 53%, surpassing 2,600 tons. What may be a bit unfair, though, is how the US had to put these issues solely to the poor management of Petro government. Even though Colombia is dealing with these bad numbers now, the truth is that the underlying problems have been building for much longer. In fact, Donald Trump already expressed concerns about Colombia during his first administration, when the country had a government that was much closer to the United States politically. According to experts, the real issue started after the peace agreement with the FARC, the guerrillas in 2016, because the areas that the guerrilla once controlled were not quickly taken over by the state. And that essentially allowed the other armed groups to move in, looking to profit from illegal economies like coke cultivation and ultimately the drug trafficking. So we can say that Washington is right about the numbers, but the way it frames the whole situation feels, at least in the opinion of several experts that we have been speaking to, a bit simplistic.
When President Petro says in response, we're simply not going to purchase US military hardware anymore, is that something that's likely
Where are we
to have
going?
a big impact?
Well, it's very early to say in this case. I think it's a big deal in terms that it, first of all, confirms that the relationship, which was once considered as the most strategic one that the US had in the region, is not at its best at the moment. But it's also because Colombia, which has traditionally aligned its foreign policy with
Oh, this is the one where
take a step back or to push back even when it feels punished or unfairly called out by its powerful neighbor.
you can
And it matters also because it points to a broad
cause the game to produce no traffic or pedestrians.
which is that the US doesn't seem to have the same level of influence and power that it had anymore.
The bank
We have
one,
seen that with Colombia
which
now,
means you can go to Las Venturas,
which has gone on
collect all the horseshoes, all the oysters, and so forth.
remains facing higher tariffs by the Trump administration, for example. And we have seen also
Am I ready to do that? We'll go with the gas station first.
Is also using against the Trump administration, that even though it's collaborating, is very fair in all of her decisions and defense of the interests of Mexico.
In terms of Colombia, the US, despite strong criticism, hasn't actually cut off aid, foreign aid supplies to Colombia. So is that a signal that there is some sort of space for something to be worked out, for the relationship to improve?
Get in
Well,
there.
said that the aid will continue, but we don't really know if it's going to continue to the same extent that it was until now. Several estimates say there was somewhere between $300 and $400 million. I would say
Whoops,
that
I
more
didn't
leaving
do
the
it.
door open. What Trump's decision is saying, or at least has been interpreted in Colombia, is that the president is somehow distinguishing between the country and its government. Is somehow like saying that we applaud the military efforts, but because of your government, you're going to need a bit more support, or you're going to have to put more effort
in fighting the narco situation. But of course, this is just an interpretation. And we have also have to see what happens with the upcoming elections in Colombia in the spring of 2026, and whether that somehow changes the Washington decisions for next year.
BBC Colombia correspondent in Bogota.
Whoops, am I going the right way?
Developing story then, those tensions between the US and Colombia.
Yes.
Plenty more on that on the BBC website. And plenty more to come here on Newsday, the BBC World Service with Priya and James. Distribution of the BBC World Service in the U.S. is made possible by American Public Media, producer and distributor of award-winning public radio content, engaging audiences, creating meaningful experiences, and fostering conversations. APM, American Public Media.
Didn't do a lot of damage.
Bitwarden Password Manager, designed to protect users needing access to secure logins for personal or work accounts from any device, anywhere. More at bitwarden.com.
Where did they go? They gave up.
Hello and welcome to Newsday from the BBC World Service with James Cocknell and Priya Rai.
They died.
The United Nations Commission report says that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza.
Corruption is the engine of South Sudan's decline. That's what a separate UN-backed report says. We'll hear from its chairperson in the country.
Plus, an historic fourth world 1500 metre title for Kenya's Faith Kipyegon.
BBC News with Neil Nunes. Donald Trump
Must be 1:30 almost, right?
At the start of his historic
1:30 on the dot a.m.
The US President and his wife Melania will head to Windsor Castle later on Wednesday, where they'll be hosted by King Charles. Thousands of Palestinians are continuing to flee Gaza City.
How far am I from a save
Israel began
point?
its ground offensive there in an effort to defeat Hamas. Many are heading
Not
south
too
along the
far.
coast
I'll
road
do
to
some of
Frankfurt.
those, yeah.
The co-founder of the American ice cream maker Ben & Jerry's has quit the firm because he says it's being silenced by its parent company. Jerry Greenfield believes Unilever accuses Unilever of breaching a merger agreement that protected the brand's social activism. A Democrat has won an election in the U.S. state of Minnesota to replace Melissa Hortman, the Democratic politician who was assassinated in June. H.D. Lee said he wanted to honor Ms. Hortman's legacy. The leader of the Unification Church in South Korea has been questioned by prosecutors over bribery allegations.
Hey, come here.
Shah is suspected of giving a luxury necklace and
Everyone's
Chanel bags
going.
to the wife of the former president, Yoon Suk-yeol. United Nations is proposing a cut of 15% to its regular budget next year.
There we go.
It's been struggling to cope with reduced funding from the US and other countries. Reports from western Niger say gunmen on
To the
motorbikes have
save
shot
point.
dead 22 people in a village. Niger's
So,
military leaders have struggled to contain jihadist violence. And Australia and Papua New Guinea have failed to sign an expected defence treaty during a visit to the Pacific nation by the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. A week ago, Mr. Albanese also left Vanuatu without signing a security pact. BBC News.
Thank you very much indeed for that update. Hello, welcome to Newsday on the BBC World Service with Priya and James. For the next half an hour, we have stories for you from Gaza and South Sudan. We'll look at superpowers battling it out, tech deals in the AI industry, and we'll look at Faith Kipyegon, a superpower in her own right, who won an historic fourth World 1500 metres title at the World Athletics Championships in
you
Tokyo.
losers.
Bring you more in sports, and you can have your say on anything that you hear on Newsday. WhatsApp, text message on our usual number +44 77 86 20 50 55.
A group of more than 20 organisations are calling for the international community to intervene in Gaza after a United Nations commission concluded
Where's
that
my
Israel is committing
vehicle?
genocide. It points to statements by
Where
Israel's
is it?
top leaders and to actions
Whatever.
such as attacks on civilian infrastructure, including Gaza's largest fertility clinic, as evidence of intent to destroy Palestinian population in part. Israel strongly rejects the findings, saying that its military campaign is directed at Hamas and that it follows international law. Well, on Tuesday, Israel began a major ground offensive on Gaza City, where hundreds of thousands of people have been told to leave. We here at Newsday have been trying to get in touch with people there to understand the impact that that offensive is having. Sarah is a student and told us
Cause some mayhem before I save.
To anyone listening, the last 24 hours in Gaza City, the bombing has not stopped. The skies, lands, scary tricks our
My shotgun up.
safe. And we are literally under a lot of pressure, and we cannot even think clearly as we want to leave, but we can't. And this is causing three big problems. We do not have a tent, there is no space in the south, and we do not have money for transportation. Prices for things and transport are very high, by the way, too high for us to afford. In the meantime, Gaza is facing severe famine. There is not enough medication.
A lot of shots.
And that's making sick people worse. There is no safety, and for more than 2 years, life in Gaza has been missing.
Missing a few.
Mohammed Abu Hani told Middle East Daily about the need to stop.
Oh, hey.
For a week, I've been trying to find a car to take our belongings and a place for my family to move to. One appetite shelter was outrageously expensive and had already been taken when I called. I was told I only had to wait 2 weeks to arrange shipping for our stuff. The Israeli army dropped pamphlets every day warning that the ground operation has started and that our area is now dangerous. How can I keep my family safe? They want to cram 2 million people into Al-Mawasi, which
Exciting, huh?
for 100,000. How
Oh, 2 stars.
We got no cash, no transportation, and nowhere to go. The IDF talks about safe zones, but there is no way safe in this zone that is truly safe. The solution must be to stop the war, not to force people to keep moving until we die silently.
Well, with us now is the international president of B'Tselem, which is the Israeli Information Center for Human Rights in the occupied Palestinian territories. Sarah Michaeli is speaking to us from Tel Aviv.
Whammo.
So, as an human rights organisation, an Israeli human rights organisation, what is your reaction to the findings of this UN commission?
So, good morning, Priya, and thank you for having me on the program. The current position, as we expressed several weeks ago, is that Israel is committing genocide in the Gaza Strip. So, certainly we welcome another very detailed analysis that provides the legal basis for an actual reckoning that this is the crime that is being committed. But I think that the most important issue right now is to look at what is going on the ground and demand international action to stop the genocide that is unfolding right now in Gaza, as we speak, and as we just described.
What action?
So the term calls for the entire international community, so states, their leaders, and also people of conscience around the world to take any action available to them within international law in order to place pressure on the Israeli government to stop this. Now, I have to say, we know that the United States is currently greenlighting Israel's actions, and therefore the onus is on other parts of the world, primarily on the European Union.
Yay, Hitman level reach.
Like-minded countries such as the United Kingdom to do anything they can to get Israel to stop this killing that is unfolding in front of us right now.
There's been pausing of deals relating to arms. There's been pressure, particularly by Donald Trump, on Benjamin Netanyahu when it comes to actions that he's taking, and especially after the strike on Hamas leaders in Qatar. Can I ask you about some of the wording in the reports to help our listeners also understand perhaps the significance of it, talking about patterns in particular, patterns of conduct. When we're discussing genocide in particular, why is that important?
So I want to first of all clarify that I'm not a legal expert
Let's see.
on genocide. So
Who's
my
firing machine guns? Oh no.
reading of this report relates to the fact that it is necessary for the Commission. The Commission is providing a legal report and a legal analysis. It's important to show intent, intentionality because of the demands.
All right, I'll stop. I'm done. I'm gonna go to sleep, and you'll go away, right?
And I think the relevance of this is to
Take a nap in this room.
Systematic. This is widespread. This is consistent. But it isn't just the actions of some rogue element like our government sometimes wants to describe certain incidents, but there are, it's kind of important that we see the woods, not simply the trees, that we understand that the individual cases analyzed by this report and also by the media and
all right. I guess I should find some armor,
they are part of the broad
preferably a cab.
Population. And again, this I'm saying as a non-expert. We do know that when it comes to genocide and genocidal intent, the bar is very high. You have to prove intentionality.
Oh yeah.
Prove that it's an attack.
Oh, there's one.
Essentially to destroy the whole or in part a specific group, like a national, ethnic, religious group. And therefore, I think it's very, very important when in our analysis, and this is obviously the commission.
Well, armor, where is it?
To show that
I don't remember.
Being committed. I would also maybe just say that the Science report, the report that we authored as an Israeli human rights organization that includes both Israeli and Palestinian
whatever, I'll just go do the mission.
Less of the legal
Armor is not totally necessary.
Much more on genocide as a phenomenon, as a historic phenomenon, and we show how Israel's conduct really fits into the broader long-term analysis of genocide by Lincoln.
Sorry, Kelly, it's good to be able to speak to you from Bixalam now.
Joined
us from Tel Aviv. Israel, as I said at the
Where
beginning,
is it?
does reject the UN Commission's inquiry and has said that its actions in Gaza are in self-defense and peace.
We'll discuss now another major UN report because the UN Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan has accused the country's leaders and top officials of stealing billions of dollars of oil revenues, leaving millions of South Sudanese people without essential services. To quote the Commission's chairperson, corruption is the engine of South Sudan's decline, driving hunger, collapsing health systems, and causing
the other
preventable
side?
deaths, as well as fueling deadly armed conflict over resources. End quote. South Sudanese government says the report is based on unverified claims from activists. We can discuss this now with the Commission's chairperson, just quoted, Yasmin Suka. Welcome back to the programme. First of all, in what way is corruption a human rights issue?
South Sudan is a signatory to the International Convention
on
Socio-Economic and Cultural Rights. And in terms of that convention, they're obligated to provide South Sudanese citizens with, socio-economic rights and basic essential services, and really to use all of their available resources.
Up north.
The Commission makes the link between the conflict in South Sudan and the economic
Starts off with an easy one.
And on that basis, we're saying that
maybe they're all easy. I can't remember.
Should in fact be used for the benefit of its citizens. Remember that rights are indivisible, And so we're not just talking about civil and political rights violations, but also economic and social and cultural rights.
Lay out then some of the ways in which you found South Sudan's people are not benefiting in the way that they should.
Well, firstly, South Sudan's not a poor country. It receives more than 25 billion US dollars in oil revenues, but unfortunately, these funds are not used to support either education or healthcare or
Too
any
easy.
kind of basic services. And in fact, these funds have been siphoned off in a number of ways. In the last few years, the South Sudan pound has lost more than 90% of its value. And this is not an accident of global markets.
Wow.
It really was caused by the government's reckless monetary financing policy, printing
So
money to fund
difficult.
spending without any restraint. Then, of course, elites exploited the currency crisis for their own gain. And, in terms of another big program, one that we call an off-budget scheme, government funds were
I
diverted
forgot
into what
already.
we call an oil for roads program, a mechanism which really
Sales.
allowed for the absence of any public scrutiny or accountability. And between 2020 and 2024, more than 2.2 billion US dollars were put into this program. And this consumed as much as 60% of the official annual budget. And yet, surprisingly, our satellite footage shows that hardly any of
Whoops.
these roads, in fact,
Or
have been
not
built.
whoops.
In addition to that,
Whoops.
the government handed over entire revenue collection streams to a private company called Profit Capital Limited. And this contract allowed this company to retain 75% of all the taxes it collected, while the state only received 25%. And even this was diverted away from expenditure on basic services. We also talk in our report about the presidency's patronage system. The president has spent, I think, more than 55 times the Ministry of Health's budget on community, public, and tertiary healthcare combined on purchasing
Trucking again.
cruises, which is dished out to people that he wants to extend patronage to. So, these are just
Montgomery.
some of the patterns. But of course, the way in which it's affected South Sudan is that 76 of 79 counties in the country face what we call a acute crisis level
Southwhere.
hunger. 1 in 10 infants died infamously.
Up
3
north.
quarters from preventable causes, and less secondary school. And while female literacy is at an all-time low of 30%. And I mean, I can go on and on speaking about the humanitarian impact, but the
Take
fact of the
that.
matter is,
All right.
without the support of the international community, South Sudanese will be left
Already,
starving
huh?
without any access to any kind of humanitarian assistance.
Jasmine Suka, the chairperson of the UN Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan. We haven't had an official response yet to that from the South Sudanese government on the programme. If we can get one, we will, of course, bring it to you.
You're listening to Newsday from the BBC World Service with James and Priya. One of our other top stories today is about US President Donald Trump making an unprecedented second state visit to the UK. Right, let's turn to our sports.
Wow.
Faith Kipyegon showed why, when it comes to running 1,500 metres, she is peerless.
Faith Kipyegon storming away with 25
I did a
metres and more, 30
stupid.
metres and more. Faith Kipyegon, 4 world titles for the greatest athlete Kenya's ever produced.
Yeah, that was also a 5th consecutive global gold medal for the Kenyan, who led the 50 finals at the World Championships in Tokyo from start to finish. Afterwards, she was clear about her goal in Tokyo.
This was my target to just, defend my title, and I knew I was capable of defending my title after breaking the world record in Eugene, and I thank God that I was strong today, and and good health.
Earlier in the programme, I spoke to the BBC's Ed Harry, who you heard on commentary a bit before, and I asked him what makes Faith Kipyegon so good.
We've just been speaking to David Rudisha, actually, for a podcast that will be released later today, Walking the Score, and he was talking about dedication, her mental attitude. He actually recalled a story where he'd seen this little girl racing in 2009 up against much bigger girls, senior girls, and beating them. And even though she wasn't particularly physically developed then, he could already see that winner's mentality. She's a great advocate for a great many things in Kenyan society, speaking out about things like, domestic abuse against women, causes which are very close to her. She's this ambassadorial figure as well. But
come here, you.
the track, Isaac, she continues to be peerless, and this body of work now stretching from the 2016 Rio Olympic
What
Games
the hell?
to, of course, 9 years, and starting a family too during that period. It's been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, make sure you do search out that podcast, More Than the Score.
Damaging the truck, who cares? Not the cargo. Taking my money.
It's back. Europe's top competition, the Champions League, returned on Tuesday, and we saw some excellent games. Let's begin with Arsenal, who went away to Athletic Bilbao and came away with a win.
Trossard controls, damage the shot, deflected, and in!
No.
And that will be an Arsenal win in Bilbao. A massive win at the start
How did I end up over here?
Yeah, that one finishing 2-1. The Gunners unable to breach Bilbao until Mikel Arteta made substitutions. On came Gabriel Martinelli, who scored with basically his first few touches, and then Trossard fired home after coming off the bench. It showed a bit of a strength in depth at the hands of Arsenal and Arteta. He was asked whether he would refer to his subs like they often do in rugby. Finishes.
Yes, I did, and I love it because I don't like other words to describe the players, and I think the game is developing. They're going to be more important in many minutes.
Taking the stupid way here.
The quality of our season, for sure.
Later on,
no timer though.
Beat Marseille 2-1, 2 penalties from Kylian Mbappe, sealing the victory for the competition's most successful side. Afterwards, Marseille forward Timothy Weah paid tribute to his former Paris Saint-Germain teammate.
Kylian is an amazing player. I mean, you know what you get from him. He's a player that I had the opportunity to share the pitch with. He's a player that I hold dear to my heart. He's a friend as well. So, seeing him shine.
Almost there.
It's kind of bittersweet because it's against me. But, I wish the best for him.
And we also saw one of the wildest games in Champions League history as Juventus drew 4-4 with Borussia Dortmund in Turin. The crazy thing about this game is that all the goals were scored in the second half, 8 of them. Both sides deciding that they didn't want to defend anymore. And to
Nothing
be honest,
but big giant trucks around. All right.
4-2 with 3 minutes of 6 in stoppage time left. They allowed Juventus back into the game, scoring the equaliser. We also saw 2 Champions League debuts as Belgian side Union Saint-Gilloise and Azerbaijan side Karabakh.
Go to my save point.
To start their campaign. Union beating PSV 3-1, whilst Karabakh came from 2-0 down to beat Benfica 3-2. If you want more on all those crazy games, head to bbc.com/sport.
Isaac, thank you. Now, a little earlier in the programme, we heard about the billions of dollars worth of investment from US tech companies into UK artificial intelligence sector. It's as President Trump arrives for his state visit in the country. But we saw a similar pattern of deal-making when he visited the Middle East earlier in the year. One major agreement was for a partnership to build a massive data center in Abu Dhabi that is expected to be the largest AI campus
it's up there.
America. The UAE wants to become the next AI powerhouse, but can it balance its energy trade with China and its technological and defense ties with the United States? Samir Hashmi reports from Dubai.
My fancy house.
Landed in Abu Dhabi earlier this year, the Emiratis performed their
Anything in
traditional dance
here?
as part of the royal welcome.
No.
Hours later, he stood alongside UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to unveil a sprawling new AI campus, part of a joint UAE-US initiative.
The 2 countries also agreed to create a path for UAE to buy some of the world's most advanced AI semiconductors from American companies, a very big contract.
Welcome to the new epicenter of innovation, where American ingenuity meets Emirati vision.
The project known as Stargate is being built as the largest AI infrastructure hub outside the United States. NVIDIA will supply its most powerful chips for the project. Emirati tech firm G42 is leading the charge, and Khazna is building data centers. Hassan Al Naqbi is the chief executive of Khazna, the UAE's largest data center operator.
UAE now is at the stage where it can be a data hub and an AI hub. And we know that with the AI coming in and with the data playing a big part of the economy and actually probably creating its own economy, I think it's important to have an infrastructure.
I'm inside one of the data centers operated by Khazna. It's located in Dubai. This particular facility is used by a major tech company to power a part of its AI and cloud operations. And right now, I'm walking through the cooling corridor, where there are these giant air conditioners or cooling systems as they're known, and they're working hard to keep the temperatures down. The Gulf's AI drive is also redrawing geopolitics. Trump's visit helped Washington gain ground, but at a cost. The UAE has scaled back China-backed tech projects and gained US approval to buy NVIDIA's most advanced chips. Baghdad Beraz is an AI investor and startup founder in the UAE.
Choice to bet more on the US than China is rational, beyond being first political. So the US have NVIDIA, and it's undeniable that NVIDIA chips are built of anything else.
The Gulf states want to be part of the winning team, and the US wants allies who can help it dominate the future of AI. Mohammed Soliman is Director of Strategic Technologies at the Middle East Institute in Washington, D.C.
Those AI deals with the Gulf are more about China than about the Gulf. It's basically us trying to bring a promising, rising AI region, which is the Gulf, to the American AI stack, to be on Team America AI.
In this unfolding tech race, the US gains strategic partners, not just in AI, but in global influence. And for Gulf nations like the UAE and Saudi Arabia, the partnership offers something just as vital, a powerful ally in their search for a post-oil future. In a region long shaped by energy, a new kind of power is now being brokered, not in barrels, but in bites.
That was Samir Hashmi reporting from Dubai. Now, tributes have been pouring in for the Oscar-winning actor and director Robert Redford, who died yesterday at the age of 89. Known as both a leading man and a successful director, he also left a lasting legacy with the Sundance Film Festival. We received this tribute from one man who knows him well.
I'm Robert Redford's biographer, Michael Phoenix Hallam. So it's a difficult day for me, a sad day for me, because I regarded Bob as a friend as much as an artist that I admired and the wonderful celebrity and entertainer we all know and admire. He is someone who enjoyed his celebrity. People say that, he found his looks and all a distraction, and he was regretful about aspects of that. But that's not as I perceived him. I hung out with him in my home, and then myself and my wife and kids went and spent time in his various homes. And so we had a lot of time together, socially, domestically, chance to listen to his heartbeat, so to speak. There were really three Bobs, and he was good at compartmentalizing himself. He was the icon, the romantic icon that we saw in movies like The Way We Were and Indecent Proposal and Out of Africa. There was one Bob, that was the iconic Hollywood character. Then there was the auteur, who kind of based himself, I suppose, on other auteurs that we all know, from Hitchcock to David Lynch. And he chose films that he produced, and he really ghost authored them. Films like Ordinary People, which was for which he won an Oscar as Best Director, which was a study of human nature, really, and psychosis and neurosis. But most important to him of everything I learned was his nurturing of young artists and ethnic voices in the Sundance Institute on the platform of the Sundance Film Festival.
Oh, did I go the wrong way?
American life, because of the separateness of lefts and rights.
Time to abandon the mission.
As someone who had a social conscience, and his movies had
Uh-oh.
some contribution beyond just pure entertainment. Bob's movies constitute really a jigsaw puzzle of various essays of American life, from The Candidate to Downhill Racing, The All President's Man, The Other Ones Too.
Hey, come on.
Movies are fragments of American life.
Where's my save?
He's a fun guy, a guy to
I'm gonna die.
As well, that was biographer Michael from Helen. Remembering the late.
There we go, a vehicle.
You're listening to Newsday from the BBC World Service.
And you're listening to the BBC World Service on Main Public Radio. In May, weather tonight, partly cloudy skies, lows 44-52. For tomorrow, partly sunny, highs 72-77. For tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies, lows 49-56. And for Thursday, partly to mostly sunny, highs 73-81. You're listening to listener-supported Main Public Radio, WMEA Portland 90.1. WMEH Bangor 90.9, WMEW Waterville 91.3, WMED Calais 89.7, WMEM Prescott.
Oh, I'm done for the night, I think, or the morning, or whatever.
WMEP Camden 90.5, WBSP Millinocket 90.1, WBEO Bethel 91.3, WMHD Greenville 89.7, and online at mainpublic.org. The BBC World Service continues.
Hello and welcome to Newsday on the BBC World Service. For your right, I'm James Whitney. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thousands of people are fleeing to Gaza City for the south after Israel's begun its ground offensive there.
Oops.
The UN-appointed commission has accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza, something Israel denies, but leading aid agencies have called for an urgent intervention to get review of the season's humanitarian.
Yeah, well
South
used.
Korean worker who was detained in the US last week in a major immigration raid has told the BBC he's still traumatized by what happened to him. We'll bring you that interview.
And one of the co-founders of the ice cream brand, Ben & Jerry's, has quit, saying he's being silenced on social issues and calling for the brand to be given independence.
We'll bring you all of that, plus sport and business, after the latest world news.
Save successful. Check those stats first. Respect is still way up there.
He said the UK was a great place that warmed his heart. He'll travel to
Muscle and driving skill.
Host a state banquet on Wednesday, among other events. The BBC's Helena Wilkinson.
Bike skills getting up there.
The castle grounds. There's what will be a spectacular military carriage procession later on today when Donald Trump and the First Lady arrive. I mean, they've been preparing for weeks here in Windsor, and the military will obviously get everything precisely right today for that huge display. This historic
silence pistol and the combat shotgun
by Donald Trump here later on today. He spent the night in London.
As the president's trip began, the British government announced a deal for major US tech firms, including Microsoft, Nvidia,
only arrested
and Google,
once,
to invest a combined $42 billion to boost AI and nuclear technology. Thousands of Palestinians are continuing to flee Gaza City, a day after Israel began its ground offensive there in an effort to defeat Hamas. Many are heading south along the coast road on foot. The heads of aid organizations working in Gaza,
2647 legitimate kills.
The UN Commission concluded that Israel was committing genocide, a charge Israel rejects. Our correspondent Rushdie Abu Alouf is following developments from Istanbul.
We understand that Israel sent more troops into Gaza, but for the second night we have been monitoring all night, and we haven't seen any reports of more tanks, advancing into the city center. We understand that Israel is already, occupying about 60% of Gaza City with tanks surrounding the outskirts of
mission,
Gaza from three
etc.
different directions, but still no tanks advancing into the city center, where about 700,000 Palestinians or maybe more.
The co-founder of the American ice cream brand Ben & Jerry's has quit the firm because he says it's being silenced by its parent company. Jerry Greenfield accused Unilever of breaching a merger agreement that protected the brand's social activism. Since its creation nearly 50 years ago, Ben & Jerry's has been known for
28%, 0.88. Is that what that is?
But under Unilever, the brand says it's been prevented from criticizing President Trump for expressing support for Palestinian refugees.
All right.
The leader of
Maybe I'll go to
Christian
sleep
Church
or
in South
something,
Korea,
right?
whose followers are sometimes called the Moonies, has appeared for questioning by prosecutors.
All
over
right.
allegations
So I
that
saved it and I
the
looked
leader
at
of
the
church's founder,
stats.
Sung Myung Moon, is suspected of colluding with a church official to bribe a member of former President Yoon's political party to seek favors for the church.
All right.
Well,
If anyone actually watched this, thanks and bye-bye.